morning, everyone. It's 10 after 6 in the morning. It's 25th of October on a foggy day here in Baranovici. I'm on a electricity train, very cheap train, again, on my way to Minsk. And a lot of funny maneuverings going on, as you know, behind the scenes of what's going on with Ukraine and Europe and economies and whatnot. But you know, the biggest news, of course, is this evidence. I guess it's a pretty concrete evidence that at least Ukraine was trying to, and maybe still is trying to, create a dirty bomb. And it makes you wonder where they were planning on using it. If they're going to kill Ukrainians or who knows what not. But it might have been circumvented now because Russia made it very public and contacted all these ministries of defense in different countries. And Ben Wallace from the UK rushed over to the United States because he said something about the communication lines are compromised in the UK, or between the UK and the United States. So he went over there and talked to General Austin, or whatever his name is, Secretary of Defense for the United States. So, but yeah, this train, it's an old Soviet job, as you can kind of see. And the price, I think maybe I was wrong last time. I don't know. It's like I think I said it was like $1.30. It might be, I don't know, $1.80 or something like that to take this train all the way to Minsk. It's about 130 kilometers, very cheap. And it's, as a matter of fact, it's cheaper than the taxi ride that it took me to get from where I'm living to get to the train station. But it's run by electricity, and as I say, these trains are the same trains that they use to transport troops in Ukraine, the Ukrainians, by the way. So it's all basically the same. So anyway, I'll talk more later. Hello, now I'm on Prititskovo Strasse here in Minsk, and it's still the 25th. And it's raining, and it's still foggy. But anyway, what I wanted to mention was a little bit about the what's going on in Poland. They're mobilizing, supposedly, or at least they're calling people up for a draft, which is mobilization. And then I'm hearing that they're doing that also in Ukraine. So yeah, guess what that's all about. I'm also hearing more rumors about more NATO troops being sent to the border of Belarus. So this time in Lithuania. Of course, they're building up in Poland, and I've already been talking about that. So that's quite a bit. Another thing about Poland I haven't been mentioning is a lot of time if you are going across the border, I know a lot of people that have been gone across the border into Poland, getting, like, say, roughed up or beat up by the Polish authorities, the executive branch, I guess I would say. So, you know, there's somebody I know was, they didn't miss their train, but their train was going to be in the next morning. They got there in the evening time, and the Polish were, they started hanging out in the train station rather than going to look for some hotel for 4 hours. So they just hung around there. And the Polish police are coming around, and anybody hanging around in the train station gets, like, kicked and beat up. So it doesn't make the Polish people look really good when you have an executive branch doing that. And then somebody that wrote me, I said something about Poland, and somebody named Jai, this is for you. And he was mentioning, because he's from India, and a lot of medical doctors that were in Ukraine, I believe right at the time when Russia invaded, I guess you would say, or started the special military operation in February, a lot of the Indian doctors were leaving Ukraine, and as they were going into Poland, the Polish guards, or whatever, border guards, police were also beating them up. So physically beating them and detaining them, and you know, doing all kinds of nasty things. I guess he'll probably leave a message on this video, so maybe shed a little bit more detail. So you'll have to look at the comments section. And another thing that should be mentioned is that it looks like the Republicans are going to be taking the House and the Senate in the United States. But recently they've been saying that they never said they're going to stop the funding for Ukraine. So that doesn't mean that the war is going to end. Of course, the war is continuing is because the United States keeps sending mass amounts of weapons and huge sums of money, and the European Union as well. If Ukraine wasn't getting this money, just the money alone, they wouldn't last for more than a couple of weeks, and then the whole country would collapse. So and the war would end as well if they didn't get these weapons. The war would have been over in February probably. Well, not February, but let's say March. So it wouldn't have lasted more than about a month, I guess, without all these Western weapons. And that's probably, not even ignoring the fact that that Ukraine already had a lot of NATO weapons. NATO was building them up with lots of weapons and training for how many years? Like 7 years before that time, because the whole intention of the Minsk agreements was just to buy time. That's what the president, then of Poroshenko said. He signed it only to buy time, as NATO was building up a big military and training them to attack Russia. So obviously you would know that the West doesn't believe that Ukraine could possibly take on Russia, but that's one of those sort of conditions where you're having one person acting as useful idiots, and I don't like to insult the Ukrainian people, but it's their government there and this ideology, that says, we get to kill some Russians, I can kill some Jews, kill some Russians, kill some of the Untermenschen, So, as you know, that ideology that I'm talking about is the same ideology that was in Germany in the 1930s and 40s up until about 1945, as you know. So that's just to let you know. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to attack the Ukrainian people, because you know how governments and their corporate-sponsored medias can steer their own populations, at least a large percentage, into uncertain direction, a direction they would never have gone otherwise unless they're steered into it or programmed, brainwashed, indoctrinated, whatever words you want to use for that. So, just keep that in mind. And you should also realize now the European Union is sanctioning Iran for selling drones to Russia, and even a lot of vloggers were saying that Russia was using Iranian drones, but it turns out there's no evidence of that. It's just that Russia never denied it, but now they are denying it, and it turns out that these are Russian drones, but they're just maybe following the design of the Iranian drones, I guess. So, but these are Russian drones, and there's no evidence that Russia has ever used any Iranian drones in Ukraine. So that's something to keep in mind as well. But we have to watch out for those additional troops that have been sent to, the former Eastern Europe, Poland and Lithuania, probably Estonia and Latvia. And as I was talking about foreigners going through Poland and getting beat up, I went through Latvia. I didn't get beat up at all. As a matter of fact, they were very nice to me. But since my passport, which was from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, was not from the U.S., I haven't renewed my U.S. passport for a while. And but they called me aside and they interviewed. I mentioned this in another video. They interviewed me. They were very nice, and they wanted to know. They asked me a couple of times if I'd been to Ukraine, and I don't know what that was supposed to lead to. But they were also very interested in what the prices are like, and if I'm noticing any price increases and things like that in Belarus. And that's a very strange thing, because I notice now that the government here is really trying, and they're looking for people that are trying to maybe gouge prices. So they're trying to keep the prices of everything as low as possible in Belarus. It's more of a consumer-oriented government. So I guess that's good for anybody wanting to buy clothes and food and all that living here. The government at least looks out for you in that way. But anyway, that's probably about all I have to say right now. And I'll try to get this uploaded today if I can. Tomorrow I start school, so I don't know how often I'm going to be adding on videos or not, but I didn't forget this time. If you like the content, please subscribe. You can put a like. I guess that helps. Helps my ego, if anything else. So thanks for watching, and stay safe. Something I need to add, I forgot to mention, is the source where I'm getting the information about Poland and the mobilization is a YouTube channel, and it's called Through the Eyes, and it's run by a young lady called Ania, and she also mentions that Poland is enacting very strict censorship right now, and so she can't even say much on her YouTube channel. So you might want to check that out, you know, verify what I've been telling you. But she's based in Poland, and again, the name of the channel is called Through the Eyes. And yeah, well, you can imagine what she might want to say if it wasn't, if there wasn't a strong censorship imposed now in Poland. So, you know, Poland is something to watch. You know, that's I'm starting to think that's a hotter place than Ukraine. There's a lot of craziness going on in at least in the executive branch of the government. Maybe not the people. And it's even like Ukraine. You can a lot in the government itself are very sane people. It's just there are certain people in Ukraine, in the high leadership, that are really making things bad, and they're perfectly willing to sacrifice the lives of every last Ukrainian, as the word has been said. So anyway, we have to, you know, hope for the best for Ukrainians and Russians and anybody that's going to be involved in this hostilities imposed by particular governments in the West.